Um, it says we're live, but let me check. It doesn't say we're live on YouTube yet. So, do. I know it takes a couple seconds sometimes with YouTube.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of a delay.
A lag. That's why.
Yeah, I'm like
here we are.
working
Yeah.
on.
Hi.
Okay, we're live.
Yay, we made it.
Yay.
Hi.
Hello, RM.
Hi, Liz. How are you? You must have been here already because that's the first comment that popped up. Thank you for joining me, Vina. And if you don't follow Vina, her links are down below. I don't know how you follow me and don't follow Vina, but hey, the links are available if you don't. I get most of my recs from your channel. It ruins my TBR every month.
Well, I've heard it's ruined
Easy.
a lot of people's TBRs.
Yes. Yes. Especially that one, I can't remember the title now, that same self metal?
Oh, yeah.
The Shakespeare one?
Yeah.
I was like, when you told me Shakespeare, I was like, bye right away.
Like, yeah, that author is like, she's also an actress and she produces plays and stuff. So like, she's really into Shakespeare too. So I'm like, I know the people who are like really into Shakespeare are like really gonna enjoy that one.
Hi, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. This is just going to be a random chatty video because I've been slacking on the content. So, and my TBR is going to be very small next month because I'll be traveling for a huge portion of the month. I'll be traveling 3 weeks out of the month. So I only have like a 4 or 5 book TBR, and most of them are going to be on my Kindle because it's easier to travel with a Kindle than books and hardcover and all that stuff. And
so much easier. And then you don't even end up picking like the hardcover books up.
no, I've become a person that just wants paperbacks now. I don't even want to.
Yeah, I prefer paperbacks, which sucks because it takes so long for like the paperbacks to come out in the US.
That's why I wish we were like the UK where they released both on the same day. I was like, why can't we do that?
Or like Amazon does it, and they've proven that it does well with their publisher. I'm like,
yeah,
because their publisher releases everything in the same form, like in the different formats at once.
Yeah. Paco, hi.
Hello.
Hi. How are you? Are you working today? Please tell me no.
Ooh, I would not want to work today. I am so happy I don't work Sundays anymore.
It's a lot.
I did 5 years straight of working every Sunday.
Ooh. Yuck.
Horrible.
But I'm actually working on a little project for this channel. I'm gonna do a formal video on the whole thing when it gets a little bit closer to the dates. But I'm gonna do deep dives into Jane Austen.
Ooh,
and I'm starting with Northanger Abbey. Hopefully you can see that with the glare.
Yep.
Starting, and then I'm having live discussions at the end of each month. I think I'm going to start in the summer with these. So if you want to join, feel free. We're going to start with Northanger Abbey. I don't have the dates yet because I've reached out to a couple people, so we don't have specific dates yet. But once I do, I will blast it everywhere.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep up. You are doing a lot of discussions.
I'm doing a lot. And that's why I think like I was telling you before we went live, the last couple months I felt very overwhelmed. I'm just like, there's not enough time in the days to do all this. So that's why I'm like paring down in what I'm reading. I'm basically reading only discussion books this month because that's all I have time for.
Yeah.
Oh, how was y'all West? Tell me everything. Please tell me you have a vlog for it because I want to see. I want to see.
There were some interesting authors who were lined up
right?
for y'all West. A lot of authors I talked to went.
Nice.
I saw Shay went too. She stopped in for a little bit.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. I'm like, I'm so happy for you, but I'm so jealous at the same time. But I'm
Yeah, I
actually,
was like seeing like everybody who went. I'm
I
gonna
know.
go just to like see people. Like not some like I know they give away like a lot of cool books and stuff too.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I'm trying to get better at it, but I don't read as much YA as I used to. I'm dabbling back into YA. I
I
don't hate
read
YA. I just don't
yeah.
pick it up as
I
much as I used
read
to.
a good bit, but like a lot I like stuff to feel like fresh and some of the stuff it just feels like kind of similar to like
2010.
the 2010 stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's why I've been gravitating more towards middle grade, just personally. Like with the Amari series, with the Rick Riordan presents like Arusha and things like that. I've been instead of picking up YA, I've been going more towards middle grade. I don't know what that says about me.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say they've like been picking up more middle grade and more adult lately.
Yeah. And this one, I'm in the middle of it right now. I know everybody's gonna make fun of me, but I wanted to read something easy because my brain can only take so much. And these are easy, and I have the audio, so I'm on chapter 6. I'm not that far in. I figured this was good airplane reads.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna be able
I
to
put
focus
so
that
many
long.
books on my TBR for this month and did not even finish all.
Did you?
Yeah, like I knew I wasn't gonna read too much, and then like I read like barely anything the 2 weeks I was on vacation.
Yeah.
Like barely a few. I read a chapter book that I was reading for a different project, and that was it.
Yeah, I basically am going to be living off of audio those 3 weeks that I'll be traveling. I do have one live discussion. So the background will change because one of the live discussions will be when I'm in a hotel. So the background might be weird, but I'll be there. Hopefully the internet doesn't crap out. Yay, I'm excited. I'm jealous that you got to meet up with Princess, though. Lovingly jealous, but I'm jealous. Yeah,
That's always cool too when you get stuff signed or when you get to talk to like your favorite
I
author.
know. I would die if I ever got to meet with Stephen Graham Jones. I don't think I would be able to form a sentence. I'd be like, "Hi."
Yeah, I don't live in a place where like authors visit. Like the closest place they would visit is Philly, and then even then, like not a lot of
Yeah,
authors like I'm interested in come through there.
right. Exactly. Like they used to pre-pandemic, but post-pandemic not really. Like the Philadelphia Public Library used to hold a bunch of different events that I used to go to pre-pandemic, and
Yeah, I know they still do like some here and there. They'll bring like some big names in.
I know I bought tickets to see Grady Hendrix right when the pandemic hit. And that didn't happen, of course, because that was March of 2020. When
And then
everything.
like so many of these events are like during the middle of the week. I don't have time to run down to Philadelphia
Right,
at night
right.
in the middle of the week.
This is the third one in the series because I read the first two. Amy, hi! Yes, I did. Book 3, officially with a title. And I don't know if you were able to stay for that the length of the interview, but we are having a discussion towards the end of the year on book 3. So yay. I'll be able to finish the whole trilogy in a year. Yay me. Yay! That's exciting. I need to see pictures. Send me pictures.
I'm sure it'll be a fun vlog.
Yes. The last one that he went to last year was a lot of fun. The vlog that he had. I'm trying to think of what else I have. I have to for the Who Picked This Book Club that I'm a part of. Information is downstairs. If you're not connected with them, it was run by my friend Nicole on the Who Picked This Book channel, but she recently had a baby, so me and a mutual friend Jen kind of took over for a little bit.
Are you guys still hosting it on Nicole's channel?
Yeah. Yep. Um and the first book for that will be we're trying to continue series that we started last year to like finish stuff out. So we're doing Neanderthal by Avery Flynn. It's part of the Mama's Boys series. It's a comedic romance, hockey romance kind of thing. They're fun.
I want to
recommend.
add a book, but like the book that I want to add I don't have a date for yet. So once I know when it's going to be out, then I can add it as a pick.
Ooh, I need to know details. Yes, we don't have a date yet because she's also moving in October, so I don't want to stress her out. So we don't have a date yet, but it's definitely happening towards the end of the year. No, you're fine. Do you have Hoopla, Liz? Because I know Hoopla has the audio. If you need,
Hoopla is so helpful.
yes, and Hoopla's helpful when it comes to comics as well. Like I have a hard time getting access to comics.
Reading the comics on Hoopla, like the bind ups on there.
Yes.
I've been reading Farmhand and really enjoying that one. I actually need to get back into that one.
Ooh, I have to check that one out. I started Bitter Root.
Yeah.
On there. Yeah. They didn't have the newest bind up though, which makes me sad.
Yeah, I'm like trying to get back into comics again.
I don't think, to not stress you out, Liz, I don't think they're interconnected. They're just all the same family. I don't think it really like the stories merge. So if you don't finish the first one, I don't think it'll affect if you continue to the second one because they're like slightly interconnected like most romances. So I don't stress yourself out, please.
That's the one thing I do like about romance. For the most part, you can read like multiple books, and even though they're technically in the same series, they stand alone.
Yeah.
There are a few here and there that I'm like, okay, maybe you do need to read book one for a little bit more context, but for the most part.
That's what I love about Harlequin, even though people talk crap on Harlequin so much and it makes me angry. Like, you can read book 3 and everything makes sense, but you want to go back and read it. You still can.
Yeah.
Like, it's not so... There's a few series where I could be like, I recommend you starting from the beginning, but not many.
Yeah, you can just like pick a book and read it, and like especially if you want like something quick and somewhat predictable, but like still good. Because, you know, like sometimes
and predictability doesn't always mean a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like the predictability coming off as like a bad thing. Because sometimes that's what your brain needs.
Yeah, sometimes I just want something familiar. I know I'm gonna get this, and it's perfect. I picked up one of those suggestions from Aaron. Like, he had an author on recently. I forget what her last name is, but I know her first name is Mona. I bought one of her books, and I took it on vacation with me, and I gifted it to my cousin because it's on Hoopla, so I'll just read it through there.
Mona Sharaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, so I bought one of her books and I passed it along to my cousin because they don't get like a lot of books down there unless they pay a lot of money for them.
Yeah. But I even have a hard time here getting, like, I know Big Bad Amazon is like the big baddie, but there aren't that many bookstores around here. So it's like for other stuff, like for not popular stuff, I have to go online.
Yeah, I only have Barnes and Noble, and I'm not like really a fan of them, and they don't like to stock like a lot of.
And they're 45 minutes away. I'm not driving. Yeah. I'm not going 45 minutes just to go to Barnes and Noble.
I'm like, they're 20 minutes on the opposite side of town. Like, there's other more important stores I want to hit up along the way over there. That's when I'll go. But I'm like, I don't. I ordered like the Harlequins from Amazon because they're also discounted there too. And then, like, you know, like Harlequin has a short shelf life, so it's only on the bookshelf store shelf.
That's why I try to grab them from the website like the first week because if you grab them from the Harlequin website, I mean, because like if you wait till after like the second or third week, it's a crapshoot of like if it's going to be available.
You never know, like if it'll be available like a few months down the line. And that's another thing I like about Hoopla is Hoopla has a lot of them too. So I'll be
and like that's my biggest question is like. Being someone who reads Harlequin, and I get so frustrated that so many different, like, only certain lines get audio.
Yes, and I'm like, audio thing, I don't understand. Like, only certain lines get audio, only certain books get audio, and it
only
feels
certain
like so
authors.
random.
It seems like,
and it feels so random, like the books that get audio versus the books that don't.
Right. And I'm like, how do they choose?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even being like picky about the fact of them not being able to do every book. I get that because they have so many books come out
Yeah.
in each line every month. I get that. But how do you choose which one goes on audio and which one doesn't?
Yeah, because it's not
That's
like
my
it's
question.
consistently always the same authors. Like one author might have like one of their books in the series go on audio, and then the rest are just like
Right.
regular.
Like,
Yeah.
it's the Cattleman, like a mini series in the Cattleman's Club series and Desire. They have 7 in the mini series. LaQuette is the only one that got audio for that book. One of the 7. The rest of them, no clue. And I'm just curious, like,
Yeah, I
why?
want to know what their process is.
Yeah,
Because I know
that's
Denise
true.
Handler Wheatley too. I think she has one of her
I
books in
know.
audio, but she
And I
has like
love her
so
books so
many in the
much.
same series.
I love her books so much.
Yes, I need to read her books. Like I've heard they're very very good, and the covers are
They are
always
so good. So good. So good. If you want to read them and we can discuss them, like, yes, they are so good. Her and I picked up on audio Synethia Williams
yes,
series. Jackson, is it Jackson
the
Fall?
Jackson Falls.
That's what it is. Yeah, I picked it up on audio. It was on
Yeah,
Chirp. The whole series was
yeah.
like $7. All 3 of the audio. I was
The
like,
audio books
yes,
for that series are so good. Like
yay!
I really like. I did a couple of them audio, and I really enjoyed listening to them.
I have
I
her
think
newest book on pre-order.
yes, her newest book I'm so excited about with the Southern Wedding.
I know the cover's gorgeous. The
Yeah,
cover is gorgeous. She gets great covers, I have to say.
yeah, she gets great covers. I really like this her small she does small town, but it has like a little bit of drama and like the
Yeah,
big like and it's like the family drama. I love that.
I don't know if it's the first one, but the one that I read was the sister fell in love with the sister's ex-husband.
Oh yeah, that's
Or
my least favorite in that
I
series.
was like, ooh, that's juicy. Like, that's drama.
Yeah, it was mess, but it was like my least favorite one. I actually book 2 got even messier, and then the dad is just a mess. Like it's like if you like those old school soap operas, the
Yeah,
dad is like
that's what
one
it
of those
reminded me of.
like J.R. Ewing, Victor Newman
Yep,
type.
that's what the dad reminded me of. I was like, yes. You read a lot of history books, don't don't you, Liz? I want to pick your brain. I know you're not on social media, but I want to pick your brain on, like, I'm trying to find more histories of Italy. So, like, if you know of any, I can send you my email and you could email them to me if you feel comfortable. Yeah, she's big on history. I always like getting my history recs from Liz. Ooh. Okay. Thank you. If you ever need like nonfiction history recs, go to Liz. She's great. Thank you so much. My email's actually in the description, so if you feel comfortable emailing me, just let me know. So what are you reading for May?
So many things. I have my TBR coming out tomorrow, or like so many things I'm trying to read. But first and foremost, let me see. Because I have this book on. I actually do have this book on Kindle that I started it. I'm Not Supposed to Be in the Dark by Rhys M. Nielsen. So it's supposed
Okay.
to be it's a YA paranormal romance is what it's being advertised as, and like the
Interesting.
best friend turned enemy is supposed to be a ghost, and we'll see. Like I've been
Ooh.
searching for like like a fun YA paranormal. Like
Yeah, the
I feel
last
like we haven't
YA
had as much.
paranormal I read I didn't like.
Yeah, and I feel like we haven't had as much like fun YA fantasy. It all feels like everybody feels like older and very serious, but at the same time too young, and it's like a weird mix.
That's my biggest problem is the book that I read which was written very well was Jake Livingston? Is that
Yes,
what it was?
by my friend Ryan.
Yeah. I liked the book. I was just like, wow, this is a lot for the age range.
Yeah.
I
Like,
had to pause the audiobook a lot because of just,
yeah. Like,
and
I
it's not
tried.
nothing wrong with the book. It was just I think it was a me thing. I was just like, whoa.
No, it was a lot with like the school shooter and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, though I've tried recently to read like Seven Faceless Saints, but I just couldn't get into it. Like the people felt like they were like late 20s, but then it's
That's what
like
I'm
with the
saying.
writing style of like high school like writing style, and then it was a weird mashup because I'm like these people feel so old, and then like the romance was so at the forefront, and it
Yeah,
didn't mesh with me.
it just I'm very selective with who I pick from YA now because of that. But I just I'm also reading a lot of like I've been like dipping back into a lot more romance because my brain that's like all I can handle. But like we're trying to finish series
Yeah,
with the Who Picked This Book Club, and you would actually I think you would like this series. It's called the All Access series, and it's by Evie Mitchell. There's 2 books out in the series right now. There's supposed to be 3, but as of right now, there's 2 at the moment. And fantastic disability rep when it comes to relationships with disability, and it's like you can definitely tell the author has a disability herself because it's like the little things like pushing a wheelchair, how you get calluses on your hands from pushing the wheelchair, like the little things.
hmm
And they're pretty spicy and they're very short. Like on audio, I think they're without speeding them up, they're like 5 hours, so they're very short.
I
But
love a short book.
they're so good. Like, and they're not pandering to people with disabilities or anything like
Mhm.
that. It's very like everything's well done. So we'll be finishing Love Flush, which was on the 23rd of May. Yeah, the 23rd, and then the 30th we'll be doing a no, sorry. The 23rd is a short story in a what's the name of the collection? It's a short story in a collection. Sorry, my brain.
I've been trying to read like more short story collections too. I
Me
have
too.
Book of Witches on my TBR. I need to read Africa Risen. Like I just need to sit down. The only problem is like the library didn't have the audio for Africa Risen, so I'm like I have to read it with my eyeballs, and I
Do you
have the
have scripts?
hardcover. No, and I have the hardcover a version of the book, and it
Okay.
like so, and I don't think my library had the ebook either. So I need to like
Oh
sit down and
no.
probably slow read it.
A Bookworm for a Suspect is the name of the short story collection. It's all cozy mysteries authors. We're specifically reading um a short story from Julianne Lindsay in that collection, so you don't need to read the whole collection. We're just doing a live show on one story. And um and then we're doing Love Flushed on the 30th, which is the second book in the All Access series. And that's all I have on my to-do list for May cuz that's all I can handle this month. But if I can fit stuff in, like I think I'm going to bring some Harlequins with me cuz they can fit in my purse really easy.
Yeah,
They're not
at
like
very least,
cumbersome.
like sometimes you can make like take cool pictures when you're away.
Yeah. Yep. That's why I'm going to bring some of my Harlequins. Like I got the sequel from Leela May Wright. She sent it to me. She's lovely. And I was like, that's so pretty. I need to take a picture. Like all her covers are so pretty.
Yeah,
Her
um,
covers are gorgeous.
I like try and take my pictures too like ahead of time before I'm gonna read the book, so like I have them ready and available to go.
Yeah.
Especially since like on Twitter they prefer you to like have pictures with your posts, like you get like more views. So
Yeah. And
I
she's so
finally do all
responsive
there.
online too. She's like, "Thank you for sharing." She's so sweet. I am partially Sicilian, but I'm also from my family comes from like Naples area. And I don't want to say the other part because it's actually my last name, so I'm kind of weird about saying my last name on the internet. um, but I I love I love reading about the Renaissance. It's like my favorite period of time to read. And like non-Italian period time, like the Tudors. I
Mhm.
can read anything on the Tudors. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for those two parts of history.
Yeah, see, that's why I thought Seven Faceless Saints would have been cool because it was like Italian inspired, but right off the bat, like, I wasn't feeling it. You could tell it was going to be like really judgy about religion,
Mhm.
and I feel like people who always write judgy about fantasy religions aren't actually that familiar with the religion.
Yeah. I the one book I actually will say does like Italian folklore somewhat correctly. I mean, it kind of falls off as the series goes on, but the first book I think you can read as a standalone.
Mhm.
Um, Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie
Minnesota,
Maniscalco.
yeah,
I loved it because like that first half of the book was like my childhood, like cooking with my grandmother and stuff like that. Like I was like, yeah, and then like that was the like to me the Italian folklore was the interesting part to me. So like once that fell off, I kind of got
yeah,
bored in the sequels. I mean, the sequels are great, but like they're more focused on the romance part of it, which is fine. But it was just like, but I want you to get back to the other thing.
yeah,
Yes, I love her books. I have the first three, and then she has one. Yeah, the new one coming out in May. I have that pre-ordered.
yeah. And I feel like there's like nuances to this the discussion about the Roman Catholic Church,
Oh yeah,
and a lot of people aren't in
yeah,
it to get the nuances.
yeah. And it was just like I don't know. It felt kind of young. Like the first book was written like more new adult-ish, and then it kind of went down a little bit. I don't know. The series isn't bad. I gave the second two 3.5 stars,
Hmm.
but the first one was a 5 because it was great. Ooh, I have the hardcovers. I ordered them. I know there's a new one coming out that Jen wants to read, but I can't remember the title off the top of my head by her.
Try and take as many pictures as you can while you're away, though.
I will, trust me. I'm so excited. I hope I hope my other half doesn't get mad at me for saying this, but he surprised me with tickets to go cuz he has a work conference in Minneapolis,
Hmm.
Minnesota. So we'll be there. Um and I'm a huge Prince fan.
Hmm.
So we're going to like his museum and in his house and
That's
stuff. And
so fun.
I legitimately like you can ask my mom. I was like hopping around the house. I'm like I can't. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm a Prince nut. Yeah, I'm gonna do a lot. Like the first week will be in Disney because he has another work thing in Disney. So
Disney should be fun. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
my feet hurt so bad when I went in
I know
November.
because you walk so much. It's gonna
Yeah.
be a lot.
I'm like, I needed to bring the good insoles. Like, I did not
Yes,
have the good
or
insoles.
like
That was my
really
problem.
or shoes that have really cushy insides.
Yeah.
Thank you, Liz. That's the title. I don't know if they're an interconnected series or not. I don't think so, but they might be. The cover is gorgeous. Whoever does her covers is amazing. Yeah. So I felt bad because I haven't done much on my channel, but just life is happening.
I mean, life is like, I feel like a lot of people are kind of like taking like a little mini hiatus.
Yeah, and it's just hard to like not prioritize because it's like, but I feel like I'm reading to like keep up. I'm just like I feel like I'm so
Yeah,
behind.
I never want to do that. That's my
I'm
thing.
just
That's why it's
I'm
taking
like
me
I
so
need to
long
back
to
up.
do to do this vlog I'm working on too, because I'm like I'm reading these books, but they aren't like arcs or stuff that's already been out. So like
Yeah.
I'm trying to
How many books do you
prioritize
want to
the
do for
arc.
that vlog?
Um, I think I think I had like about 6 on my TBR and like I DNF one. So not too bad. Like I said, I already read most of them.
Okay, that's not bad. I envy people that can do vlogs very well because I'm like, nope, that's not me.
I'm working on it.
I'm
Like
not
I
good
said,
at
I
it.
have no clue what my DC one is just going to look like because I only got to get tiny like 19-second clips here and there. I didn't get to get
Yeah.
like longer clips. So I'm like, and then some sections I only got pictures. So I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to string this all together. It's not going to come out in like in a timely manner like my Guyana one did, where like I was able to get longer clips and kind of piece
Yeah.
them together.
I just envy people that can vlog very well. I'm just like, my hands shake too much, first off, so I'm not going to
That
film
too, like
anything.
when I forgot my tripod when I went on
Uh-huh.
my vacation. Like no, I had my tripod, but I forgot like the piece that holds the phone.
Yeah.
So therefore it was useless. So I'm like, I had to hold my phone in hand. So there were like a couple that I had to like delete because I'm like, this is too shaky. You
Yeah.
can't
I'm like, it's making
see
me
anything.
nauseous. I'm sure it's going to make someone else nauseous.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want anyone to get nauseous and it's like hard to focus on what's going on. And then I tried not to make it too lengthy because
Yeah.
I'm like, I need it to be 30 minutes or less.
I love like the longer vlogs. I just don't know like with editing. Like
Yeah, between
that.
the editing took me about 3 days to do. And then with like the longer vlogs, they take longer to read and people
Yeah.
stop and start them.
That's why I'm like I'm doing this Jane Austen reread um slowly. I'm just who I know for sure Erin from Erin's reading room is going to join me.
Yeah.
Um but like I'm waiting for a couple other people because I know other people are interested, but with timing and everything and vacations, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. I've been trying to do a buddy read with a friend on a series for like over a year now
What
almost.
series?
So we are reading the Cambion Chronicles, which it came out in like the early 2000s. It's a YA, like it kind of aligns like with the like both of our like current like projects that writing projects that we're
Mhm.
working on.
Yeah.
So we're like trying to read it together because it's all on Hoopla.
Okay.
And I read book one. She's still working on book one. We're trying to like sync up to read book two and three.
Yeah, it's hard. Like I was trying to explain to like my friends that aren't book people. I'm like, yeah, they're like, we'll take 6 months to finish reading this, and I'm like, I'll be finished it in 2 weeks. Like,
Yeah.
it's just nothing bad. It's just
Yeah, like
interesting how
because if
like the
I sit
frames of
down
mind
and
are
actually
different.
do, I'm gonna try and fly through it and read it within like 2 weeks.
I need a lot of Jane Austen help.
One of my offline friends, I give her a lot of books. She got back into reading with my encouragement in like early 2021,
Mhm.
but she has two kids, so she and one of them is a baby, so she doesn't have as much time to read, and
To
she reads
sit.
like a little slower, and like a lot of her
Yeah.
stuff has to be audiobook.
Well, that's my problem is I read like if I'm just reading on the page, no audio, no assistance whatsoever. It takes me it depends on and the length of the book. Like I can go through Harlequin pretty easy because they're like 230 pages.
Yeah,
But like a regular like if I was reading Africa Risen just on paper, there's no way. That's almost 600 pages.
yeah, that's why I said I need to slow read that one and just like maybe like read a story like every
Yeah.
day or
I
something.
mean, some of them and I will be because I read the majority of it and I had to return it to the library and I'm waiting for it to come back. Um a lot of the stories and trigger warning if this event like involve sexual assault in one way or another. So like if
Mm,
that's a trigger for people, I would just I would just recommend knowing that going in because a lot of the stories involve that in one way or another. And
yeah,
there was no like heads up. It just kind of happened. And you're just like, "Wait, what? Whoa." Some of them were just like very graphic.
yeah, that can be hard to read too.
Yeah, and it was just like I had to like space it out cuz it was like putting me in a bad mood.
Hmm.
Like cuz it would a lot of them are and I'm not saying that I gave it all 4 stars. Like it's great, but it's just like I, I feel like you have to be in the right headspace to read some of them. I can I can definitely help with that because that's how I fell in love with reading. I know people. I had somebody ask me on Twitter if I was pretentious because I like classics, and I'm like, no, I'm not pretentious. I just read. Pride and Prejudice when I was 8 years old and I fell in love with
But
it.
a lot of like these books that they rave about, the authors are inspired by classic stories.
Right, right. That's what irritates me and I'm just like just because I like Jane Austen and George Eliot doesn't mean I'm stuffy.
Like so, like don't read classics, read the current day stuff that is also inspired by the classics.
Right, and that's what I was trying to explain to somebody. I'm like, yeah, if you want to break it down the movies, Clueless is a interpretation of Emma.
Yeah,
Like, Bridget Jones' Diary is an interpretation of Pride and Prejudice. Like,
yeah.
it's all
And then with Shakespeare, so many of like his plots
yes,
and stuff.
yes. I saw Shakespeare live for the first time this past week, and it was fantastic. Reading it is great, but like seeing it live is completely something different. Yes, I'm hoping the middle of the summer. I'm hoping to start the Jane Austen project. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like that's what I try to explain to people. I'm like everybody listens to like when you listen to music, I'm listening to audiobooks. I'm like that's how I get so much done.
Oh, reading is like my main hobby right now.
Me
Like I
too.
don't watch a lot of TV. I'm trying to get better actually at watching TV because I have a lot of streaming
So do
services
I.
that I need that I'm paying for and not using enough. So like yesterday I did a little bit of like catching up on streaming and like I'm trying to balance it out.
It's a lot. Well, that's
And
my
then
like
writing.
yes, and
I
that's
got
my
some
thing.
writing done last night and I need to
Yay!
get better. My one of my goals for May is actually to hit 20K on this work in progress. I am so close because
Yay!
I'm like I think 16K altogether.
I'm excited for you. But can I beta read? Can I beta read? Please.
Yes, when it is completely done, you can
Yay!
definitely be a beta reader. But like I
Yay!
had like given like the first 4 chapters to like my CPs to like look at
Mhm.
it and just like tell me like their thoughts on it, especially because I'm writing in third person like present tense and I have not written in
Interesting.
third person
Okay.
in a long time.
Mhm.
And then like a lot of the books I pick up, I find myself picking up just like I just pick up and they find out they're like um first person. I
Yeah.
noticed a lot of people writing first person now, so it's like switching to third person was like
Well,
different.
third person used to be the normal, and now
Yeah.
everybody's switching to first.
Yeah. So I'm like I like sometimes with first person, um you don't get like enough detail like because you're all like viewing it just through the MC.
Yeah.
Some of like the outer stuff you don't get. So I like the with third person you can like kind of like take a little bit of like everybody's perspective
Yeah,
and just like,
exactly.
see a little bit more and like prevent it from like like looking like a camera lens.
Exactly.
But since like I wasn't like it's a little bit of a struggle to get back into writing third person, like I wanted people to look over it and say like how it
Yeah.
started and then like with the
To make sure
pacing
it was
and
like
stuff.
it was cohesive. Like you
Yeah.
stayed in yeah. I have the same problem. I do the same thing. Yes, I have the Clayamestra on pre-order from Blackwell's cuz I prefer the UK cover. And it's much easier to hold because it's less paper in
Yeah,
the
you
UK
don't
cover.
need to necessarily read the classic to understand the new version, but it's just weird when they're like, "Oh, well, don't read the classics, read XYZ and it's based off
Right.
the classics." So I'm like,
That's where
the
I get
people here
frustrated.
who wrote this book also read and enjoyed the classic.
Yeah. And like I just get frustrated that that's automatically assumed that you're like pretentious or something because you like classics. I'm
Mhm.
like uh, you want to know how I fell in love with Pride and Prejudice? I listened to it from my library cuz they I'm going to age myself, but like CD. We had the book on CD and we listened to it in my mom's car. Like that's how 8 years old I fell in love with Jane Austen and it's been that way ever since and it got me back into reading. So, and that's one thing I love all the discussions that I'm doing, but like part of me wants to get back to what made me fall in love with reading.
Yeah. No, and I get that. Like writing something that's just like fun has helped me a lot too.
Right. You need that break. Like that's what I and I had this conversation with somebody the other day like because some people in the fantasy communities like poo-poo romance because whatever. And I'm just like I can enjoy Harlequin romance and also like a dark fantasy. Like it's not
Mm.
like I don't understand like the gatekeepiness of each genre if
Yeah,
that makes
like
any sense.
I was having a discussion with an author friend earlier today. I'm like, um, like about romance and fantasy and like the parts that you highlight. I'm like, no, I think you can do a good fantasy that also has like a good romance. When I complain about the romance and fantasy, it's usually because it was done in a way that I felt was badly done.
Have you ever read anything by J.D. Evans?
No, I have not.
Um she writes I call them political intrigue fantasies. Like
Mhm.
because they're literally 50% political intrigue, 50% like fantasy romance. Like it's perfectly blended. And it's just I have the whole series and it's great. She's an independent author as well, so you can get them through Amazon. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, they're all on Kindle Unlimited. She just got her first audiobook a couple months ago of the first book, so it's great. But it's like the first adult book that I've read that
Yeah.
blended romance and political intrigue. Great,
Yeah,
like
because I
perfectly.
feel like you can do like hard hitting topics in a fantasy, but also have a good romance alongside of it. Again, the only time I complain is if I feel like the romance was done badly and the romance
Yeah.
kind of like overshadows the other aspects, or like, and most of the time it's because the romance overshadows the main character.
Mhm. I have to catch up on so much stuff. Like my dad texts me and I was like, "Have you watched this?" I'm like, "No." And then I don't know about you, but like I feel guilty if I watch TV. I'm just like I need to be reading, but I want to watch TV.
I don't
But
feel guilty. I just feel like I will go run to pick up a book. Even if
yeah,
and then like there are some nights I'm trying to read and I'm really not reading anything and then I'm like, I'll read before bed. Get in bed, read like a couple pages and I'm like,
10
I'm ready to go
pages
to
and you're
sleep.
zonked. Third person. Are you doing multiple POV for your book? Am I allowed to
Um
ask?
no, I am just one POV for my book.
Okay. Whoops. Yeah, it really bugs me because you can enjoy like you can enjoy fantasy and also romance as well, and that's okay. Or you
Yeah.
can like one more than the other, and that's fine. Just stop being weird about it. Like it just
Yeah, people are very weird, and a fantasy can deal with some harsh stuff and still have a romance, and it's
right.
okay if people comment on liking the romance aspect.
Exactly. But people get weird about being like they're okay with saying they like fantasy romance, but they're not okay with saying they like romance. Like I don't get it personally.
I'm really though confused as to what they're defining cozy fantasy as, and I like asked today on
Okay.
Twitter, and
I saw your
nobody could give a
comment.
straight answer because it was like kind of like some of the stuff people mentioned is like stuff that is in
Low
cozy
stakes.
mystery, but
Yeah.
then like also at the same time we've been having discussions on how those things alone shouldn't define cozy mystery because it kind of
Right.
like keeps people out of cozy mystery genre.
Yeah. Because everybody, people I've met in my real life think cozy mysteries are like, like too wholesome. I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
Like with
like
the
I know like some published like some not people like I've when I was in the cozy mystery like I want to say community back in like 2015, 2016, a
hmm
lot of people felt like, oh well, it has to have like nothing, no remotely like anything like mentioning like these people are even like kind of like adult, and like there were books here and there like that acknowledge,
Dope.
these characters are having sex, but like people had a problem with that. Like,
I know. I'm just like, and like,
or like they felt like it has to follow a specific formula, like this person has to be in her 20s, but read like she's like 60, and then all her friends have to be old people. And I'm like,
I know.
that
Well,
doesn't
that's a
necessarily
thing in
make it a
general with
cozy
books that
mystery.
bother me. I'm tired of reading about a 22-year-old. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm in my 30s at this point. I'm over it. I'm
Yeah, I don't mind
over it.
reading about a 20-something-year-old, but I feel like so a lot of cozy mysteries, like they're saying the person is in their 20s, but they act nothing like a person in their 20s, and they want to make
Yeah.
them like a really chaste person in their 20s, like can't do anything wrong,
Or
and then like they
20,
only have
like not even
old
in your
friends.
20s, like almost 30, like 28, 29. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
yeah, you don't read like a
and they
28
don't
or
read
29 year
that
old.
age at all, and then
Yeah.
like they only have old people friends. Like, why is this person only hanging out with their grandma and her friends all the time?
Which
And
is
looking down on like
okay.
people their own age.
I know.
It'd be like okay if you hang out with your grandma sometimes, but they'd be like looking down on people on their own age.
Yeah, that's why I like Julianne Lindsay has a newer series, the Bonnie and Clyde mystery series, and the heroine is a 38 divorcee.
See,
And I was
that's
like,
cool because
thank
it's
you.
like thank you. It's like
Thank you.
nice and different. And like I remember one of the and then also like you don't have to have a super cutesy job. One of my favorite cozy mystery series that I read, I can't remember the name of the series right now, but it was set in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So
I
it
know
wasn't
which
even
I
like
see. I picture the cover right now. I know
yeah,
exactly which one
it's
you're
like
talking
where
about.
the she like runs like a brew pub.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, like I read that. That was one of the things that got me back into like regularly reading back in like 2015, and that was one of my favorite ones, and I liked it because it wasn't a small town. It's like a big city with her
Right.
community, like with her, but you were in her neighborhood in the big
That's why
city.
I like Death by Dumpling because it's in like Cincinnati, and you never
Yeah,
see one
like
set anywhere else besides a beach town.
it doesn't have to be like a tiny town, like nameless town, to be a
Yeah,
cozy mystery.
cozy fantasy. So Legends and Lattes, which we're reading next month for the book club for not May, as in reading it in June. Um, what was the other one? It was. Uh,
Yeah, because even like people are naming very specific ones, and I'm like, but does this really qualify? Because then they're starting to name ones. I'm like, but this wasn't even like low stakes. So I'm like, that's where I'm like confused as to
yeah,
what they qualify
that's
into
why
like.
it like would make like low stakes, like not like everybody talks about the cinnamon rolls and like Legends and Lattes, and I really want to read that because it
Yeah,
looks
I'm
cute.
like, and do they have to have like a tea shop or something for you to consider it cozy? Like,
There's one that I really want to read just from the title. You can't spell treason without T or something like that,
yeah, I've heard a lot of people
and it looks cute.
reading that one recently. So I was
I'm
just
trying to.
asking people, I'm like, what actually is like a cozy fantasy? Like, what are they? Because we're getting like a lot of new genres, or like they're renaming existing genres, but
Yeah,
we're
or
not getting
genres
a good,
within genres, like
yeah,
micro
and we're not
genres.
getting good definitions of like what these genres actually are. It's just like whatever is trending at the time. We're like making a genre. Like, I still don't understand what a
Yeah.
cottagecore book is, and they were really trying to push
What
cottagecore
does
as a
what does
genre.
that mean?
They were
Like I'm
really
not even trying to
trying
be
for
mean,
like
but
a
what does
good
that
couple.
mean?
They kind of died down now because it really
Yeah,
didn't take off. But they were trying for like a good couple of years to push cottagecore as a genre, and I kept asking people like, "What does that even mean?" And
I
then
have
they
no
were
clue.
suggesting books, and they were like all over the spectrum from like nonfiction, and then like AF books. It was like the most random stuff was being suggested.
I feel like for cottagecore, the videos that I saw, it was always like one books that like made you cry.
Yeah, and it was like always braiding sweetgrass was in everybody's list.
Braiding Sweetgrass is a fantastic book. I would highly recommend that. But
And I'm like, okay, but what exactly is a cottage? And then people were talking about writing cottage core books. Like they're like, I'm writing on a cottage core fantasy. I'm like, what even is that?
I have no idea. I Good question. I have
And
no
I
clue.
still don't know what that is. And now they seem to like have stopped trying to push that as a genre. Like I didn't understand what it meant, what they meant. I'm like, are so everybody's just wearing like lace dresses and walking, hanging in the fields, or like I didn't
Well,
understand.
I want to read that one that everybody's read because it sounds interesting. Because I like the Regency era type stuff. That Half a Soul by Olivia something Atwater.
Mm,
But I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't know. It's a good question.
yeah,
Maybe because people are just want to escapist read.
Yeah,
They
and
want to look
then
for like cozy. I don't know. I'm not sure.
but then with Dark Academia, they couldn't really decide what those
Ugh.
books were supposed to entail either, and I'm like,
You
none
know
of these books
exactly
are
how I
really.
feel on Babel, so
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I did not like that book, but I feel like a lot of like the Dark Academia, they weren't addressing like the actual academic aspects, and like just setting it at a school just means that it's
Right.
set at a school.
My friend that I read it with, Roger at Rogers Reads, if you're not following him, he's so funny and he's great. But the biggest complaint he had is because he's in a program at the moment, and he's like, I don't like how people just like idealize like academics, and it's not that much fun. Like everybody's
Yeah,
idealizing like higher ed, and it's not fun as someone who's trying to get their PhD.
yeah. Angela had mentioned that. I think she was reading it or she read it recently, and she's just like, in some ways, she felt like it kind of like idealized academic.
Yes, No Farm No Foul was like they were a cottage core community. It's another book series by Julianne Lindsay. That's an offshoot of the Bonnie and Clyde mystery series. Uh, they live in a cottage core community, but I don't know what it exactly like a cottage core book would be.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand what that means.
Like I know what a cottage core community is because there's one not far from here. Like I've seen them, but like a book, I'm not sure. Yeah, but Liz, you're right. That would definitely specify as like cottage core because of the. But also, there's low stakes in cozy mysteries to an extent, depending
Yeah,
on the cozy
like people are
mystery.
dying, so
Yeah,
like how low like it's kind of hard to say like they're low stakes when people get murdered.
I kind of wonder if it's another way to like fold in cozy mysteries without someone saying they read cozy mysteries. I don't know. I could be wrong.
And even then, like there's certain things like they like cozy mystery. They said it has to have an amateur sleuth, but then your book can be an amateur sleuth and not be a cozy mystery.
Like the book I'm reading has an amateur sleuth, but she's a journalist, so I don't know if that would technically count as a cozy mystery.
Yeah, but like that's where I was getting confused with like the because like people started naming random stuff when I asked what a cozy fantasy was. Like somebody said it has to have like old people, like a
I
cozy
didn't see any of the
mystery.
responses. So what were they?
Well, when somebody said like it has to have old people like in a cozy mystery, I'm like, well, not every cozy mystery has like old people. I haven't heard of any of these books that people are talking about as cozy fantasies have older characters.
Me personally, I would say like anything low stakes,
Yeah, like
like
people
where
said,
people aren't getting like opening up a coffee shop is great. Like let's do a story about opening up a coffee shop. That's
but
fine.
then does every cozy fantasy have to be
Right.
like about opening up like a coffee shop or some cutesy little small
Or
business?
like a bookstore or
That's what I would
something.
like to know,
Yeah.
and
That's a
that's
good
what nobody
question.
can define yet.
I know there's going to be I don't know if it's a sequel or a prequel to Legends and Lattes. I'm not sure.
And then
It's
people
coming
said
out
like
next
little
year.
action. So like what's the conflict of the book is my question.
I don't know. Honestly, that's a good
Like
question. That's a fair question.
yeah,
I don't
because like
know.
that, I'm just wondering like what would be the conflict of the book where it would still be considered cozy fantasy for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I go through periods with fantasy is like I can read dark fantasy and then there's times where I can't read dark fantasy. Like I have friends that just read dark fantasy and I'm like, how do you not burn out? No,
Yeah,
no judgment. I'm just genuinely curious of like how do
yeah,
you not burn out just reading one genre? I can't just
yeah.
read one genre.
Well, I do mainly read a lot of romance and fantasy. I like to switch. I
Yeah.
like to switch between the types of fantasy I'm reading.
Mhm.
Like
I've been
I
having a
will
hard time
read an
finding
epic
fantasy.
fantasy one time and then one
Yeah.
minute, and then I will read like an urban fantasy another minute, and then like I
Yeah.
might want something like a little bit different.
You need.
Yeah. Oh, I still remember when that one
Yeah.
lady tried to say on Twitter that we couldn't say we were reading a romance as a palate cleanser, and everybody told her to shut the hell up.
Ugh.
She's like, you can't. You
Well, did
can't
you see
feel
that
two
whole thing
romantic
about? Did you see
there.
that whole thing about that one author getting pissed about taking a book for free and not reading it right away?
Yeah,
I'm
like, I
like,
don't
yeah,
understand.
you're not
I had to
paying my bills,
unfollow the
lady.
I get less romance takes since I unfollowed the romance hashtag on Twitter because there was just, like, a lot of nonsense coming on my
I follow
timeline.
certain people still. That's as far
Like,
as I
when
go.
I followed, like, the romance hashtag, I used to get, like, the stupidest conversations all the time, and I feel like like, people just start discourse on
Thank you for
purpose. Like,
coming.
I feel like people would just start discourse on purpose, but I'm like, you cannot
It's just
act like
drama.
reading a contemporary romance is the same thing as reading like a 600-page like hard sci-fi book. It's just
Yeah.
not. You're not using the same level of brain power, and that is perfectly okay.
That's fine. That's fine, but just don't get all like
And then
in
also, they
your
didn't want us to
feels.
critique romance either, which was my problem. You can't say this is the same as this, but then you can't critique romance.
Uh-huh.
Like, no, we're gonna critique romance, and they kept saying that was a problem too.
I don't know. I That's why I dip. I don't stay on Twitter long. I
Yeah, I
post
don't.
what I need to post
I
and I'm out.
stay away from Romance Landia. There's like too many rules and regulations and weird people who want to
And
be
I can't
offended.
keep up who you're like the whole you shouldn't be reading so and so and so and so and so and so. I'm like, I can't keep up.
And like, there's too many people in like Romance Landia who like they want to feel like marginalized because they read romance, and
Please.
I'm like, first of all, a lot of times you have to be looking now to find the people who specifically hate on romance. Like, you guys are going outside of your community now to find people like
Purposefully.
living in their basement who are upset so that you can argue with them every week.
It's a whole mess. That's why I dip in and dip out. I'm like,
Yeah, so
I
like
can't.
I had to make sure like to get a lot of that Romance Landia nonsense off my timeline.
It's
And then
just it's a
like
lot.
I remember when they were trying to tell like, and with the men too, they try to act like men don't have a place in to have a say in romance, and that's always a mess.
That makes me very angry. And
That
then
makes me
like
angry too, and I've
yeah.
had to like come to the defense of men a couple of times. And last year they had me doing
Yeah.
it during Women's History Month, and I'm like,
Well, and then the other thing that makes me angry is like when people that mainly read fantasy, again,
mm,
nothing bad. Um yeah.
exactly.
Yep. It's the top selling genre. It helps all the other all the other genres like
See, and that's the thing too. Like, I had a question like about like where we're getting these claims from, because they kept saying like, oh, well, the romance is fueling all the other books in publishing. I'm like, but where are the stats for this that you keep quoting? No one can come up with the stats.
I know I saw a documentary, I want to say 2014.
Because I know
Um
now mystery has been selling a lot, and
yeah.
like,
Yep.
interestingly enough, the last time I walked into the Barnes and Nobles in my where, because I really don't go there, the mystery section was bigger
Yeah.
than the romance
And the
section.
cozy mystery section is
You
like
know,
this
like
big.
how they don't like to have a lot of mass market romance on shelves. They
Mhm.
had a lot of mass market cozy mysteries on the shelf, like
I
whole
have to
long
say my
shelves.
bookstore has been carrying a lot more Harlequin than before. Like, and I mean
Yeah,
that's fantastic. It's great. I was very surprised the last time I went into the bookstore that it was shelves and shelves of Harlequin. I was like,
yeah, because
"Yay!"
usually it's not shelves, and like I've been to
Yeah.
like different in ends where it's been like one tiny shelf in the corner.
Right. And then like the person that you ask for is like, "Why are you asking?"
So it's very interesting because they'll be like, oh, mass market romance doesn't sell as well, but like mass market cozy mystery does.
Yes.
So I'm like, are we pushing them the same?
That's the biggest my biggest complaint is like not complaint, but like as someone who has vision issues, I wish they made mass market print bigger.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I can't see. I want to read all the books that are in mass market, but I can't see.
Yes, they do need to make them bigger.
That's why I like buying some of the Harlequins off directly off of the Harlequin website because you can get the
You
larger
can
print
order the
really
large
easy.
print, yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it either, Liz. Honestly, like that's why I just stay out of all the discourse.
Yeah, the Romancelandia be something else because they act like sometimes like they're a gang, and like if you say anything critical about romance, they're
Same
like,
with fantasy, though. Like, I
and
mean,
I'm
I know it's not the same thing,
yeah.
but sometimes the same with fantasy. I had someone on Twitter
I heard it's like if
say
you're in the
something to me
very
about it.
popular like fan like
Yeah.
the big fantasies, then they're like that, like the Sanderson
I
stuff.
actually I like Sanderson. I don't love him, but I like some of his books. I genuinely do. Like, I'm not like he's not my favorite author, but I enjoy his books.
And like you get the dude bros. Like, people say like they get
Oh,
the dude bros who try to explain like
well,
the popular fantasies to them.
yep. And one of them, I won't say the name, but one of them said something to me because I DNF a series. Because there was a usage of a term that's not positive for people with disabilities,
Mm.
and like nothing against the author. Like, I will definitely read something else by the author. It's just not that series for me specifically. I didn't like it. And I was like, yeah, I DNF'd it for this reason. And let me tell you that the fantasy, a lot of fantasy men came after me. It was not good. Yeah, I like Sanderson a lot. He's not my favorite, but I like him.
I never read a Sanderson.
There's certain ones that if you wanted to, I would point you in the direction if you wanted to. I'm not saying you have to,
Mm.
but I would definitely point you in different directions than most Sanderson fans.
Yeah, like I don't see when I read fantasy, I'm not reading like all the big names for the most part. Like a
That's
lot
why
of
I
people
like
on YouTube
watching. Like
do.
that's how I started watching your channel, was because I was finding the lesser known stuff instead of
Yeah.
everything else talking about the same 4 or 5 or 6 authors.
Yeah. So and then like I get a lot of Rex too, like with the shorts with like the short stories and stuff in fantasy, like a lot of the magazines that print them offer audio versions now. So like
Really,
Chloe from Thistle and Verse will like put something on my radar and then like I'll
that's
go
my
listen
biggest
to
thing.
like
Is
an
like,
audio short story.
yeah, I have a hard time because I need a lot of audio because of my I like have a visual processing, so I have like a visual processing issue, so it takes me longer to physically read something. That's why I use the audio in tandem with physically reading. So a lot of the shorter stuff I have a harder time with. Not anything wrong with the authors at all. It's just because of access, and a lot of the authors are self-publishing, and I know audiobooks are expensive. So like I'm
Yeah.
not blaming any independent author in any way. It's just it gets
Yeah.
frustrating a little bit when
But
you
like
want to read it.
with like the popular like fantasy mags and stuff, a lot of them are like doing audio versions of the stories too.
Yeah.
So
A lot
that's
of
really cool.
podcasts too.
Yeah.
I did see that there are podcast episodes that are like one specific short story is a
Yeah.
podcast episode or something.
So sometimes like I'll sit down and listen to like a fantasy short story. So
Yeah.
it's like remembering now to try and add them in when I do
Yeah.
when I wrap up.
It's just I like I know the audio is out there. It's just trying to find where it's available. That's where I'm
Mm.
struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
I can help you out, Liz, with picking. Have a feeling you would like either you would probably like Warbreaker. From knowing your reading taste, you would probably like Warbreaker. Yeah, his
See,
books are
I need
just
to get back
intimidating because
into
they're
reading
huge.
multiple books at once. I was doing well reading when I read multiple books at once. Now I've been
I
like
know,
reading them one
right?
after one, and I'm like, why am I doing that? Because I was really good at reading multiple books at the same time.
I know. And then, or I start so many books that I get overwhelmed and I don't know which one to finish. Like, I had like 10 going at one time and I was like, this is too much. I can't.
Yes, I'm like, I need to start back reading 4 books at the same time.
Different genres help.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be physically reading a Harlequin and I'll be listening to
Mhm.
a fantasy, or, and then I'll have a mystery on my Kindle or something. Like, having different genres helps and different formats.
Yeah, for me, like I can't do a lot of fantasy on audio because like I really do have to for fantasy pay attention and look at the words or I'll get lost
Okay.
and like just to help process it better. So I don't do a ton of fantasy on audio unless it's something like very like eat lighter magic, very easier to read and process. So I have no problem doing like romance and stuff audio. I sometimes I'll do like something contemporary or like women's fiction audio.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you because I have the physical book. Um, The Forging a Nightmare. Do you recommend that on audio or no?
Ray said that it was good for her to start it physically and
Mm-hmm.
then she switched over to the audio. When I
Okay.
initially read it, I read it like completely physically and it took me like a long time to read it physically just because it takes me a little longer to read big fantasies
Yeah.
like that physically. The second time I read it, I did audio, but I was already familiar with the story. So it's like
Right.
she said,
I love
for
doing
her,
rereads with audio.
it just made it like easier for her to start it. And then once she understood the world a little bit, then she switched over to the audiobook.
Yeah.
Like the narrator is really good because I like listen to it.
Yeah, I have
But,
to find the audio
some of
somewhere.
like the elements at first are a little confusing. So
But I do eventually want to have like a discussion for that book on my channel, so
yeah,
I don't have a I just have ideas written down of
yeah,
how what I want to do. So I don't have dates or anything, but I would like to
yeah,
have you as part of that discussion because you're the person who put it on my radar.
yeah. And I just like was telling somebody else today about it, like recommending it to somebody else today. I was like, oh, I think you'll really like it because it's like has like that police, like it starts out like that police procedural type of
Yeah.
feel, and then like it goes into like the magic, and then it pulls like the magic pulls a little bit from the Bible in a very interesting way.
Okay.
Like it's not telling you like yes, like God is right, but it's not telling you like he's completely wrong either.
Yeah. Is it like how do I say
Because
this?
it pulls like from like the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
That was going to be my question because the horse is on the
Yeah,
cover. That's why I was wondering. Okay. I thought so, but I wanted to make sure. Yeah, Liz reads a lot of very big history books. I don't know how you keep it all straight. Whoops.
yeah, and I was talking with an author friend to do today too, like it's about like understanding that fantasy has so many different subgenres.
Yes. Yeah. And they're fantastic. Like
Yeah,
if you want to do the smallest of the small subgenre and you do it well, that's fantastic. Like I don't understand the gatekeepiness when it specifically it comes to like fantasy or the more popular fantasy, I guess. I
yeah,
don't
or
know.
people like only think that fantasy should only read like the popular ones.
Like Lord of the Rings. Even though I like Lord of the Rings, I genuinely do. But
Yeah, and then like we were talking about it from like the YA percent fantasy perspective because a lot of authors in there they don't consider like other types of fantasies. They just like in general in their mind it's just like YA fantasy, and we're like, well, that's not really a genre.
no, it's a category of
Yeah,
age
it's a
ranges.
age cat like YA is an
Yeah,
age category that they've been trying to market as a genre is the problem.
that's what's so weird because if you go in a bookstore, it's a whole section
Yeah.
is YA fantasy. So you
But
automatically
then
assume that it's a genre because
but when you
that's
go
what
into the middle
bookstores tell
grade
you.
section, it doesn't say middle grade fantasy.
Right. Exactly.
And then when you go
Exactly.
into
It just says
the
middle grade.
regular fantasy section, it just says fantasy. It doesn't say adult fantasy. It just says
Yeah.
fantasy. But people act
Yeah.
like very intimidated by the adult fantasy section. I'm like,
It depends
there's
on the
all
author.
different types of fantasies in that section.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like there was even more before, but like we kind of like traditional publishing is kind of strayed away from like some of like the lighter ones
Right.
right now, and we kind of need to push to get back to that.
I want the lighter ones. Give me the lighter ones
Yeah.
because my brain is just like, no, we're not reading an 800-page
But now they're
fantasy
like,
right
oh,
now.
we'll give you the lighter ones, but they have to be like cozy. And I'm like, can you bring a little bit more urban fantasy back?
What is wrong with urban fantasy? I like urban fantasy.
I don't know. we were having a discussion about that. We're like, I don't understand what the problem is.
And
Like,
people get really
why?
offended when you use the term
Yeah, people
urban
get offended
fantasy.
when you use the term, and then traditional publishing really isn't pushing those right now.
Unless you
And
count like Alona Andrews as
yeah,
urban fantasy.
like they're like a
That's the only
couple
one I
like
could think of.
of established like maybe like romance ones like specific like Nalini Singh like very
Yeah.
specific people. But
And
that's
I like some of
yeah.
her romances. She writes really good romances.
But I feel like if they there's a couple of specific people in the romance section who've been out for a while who they will push those, but everybody else it's like on the indie
Forget it.
side.
I know. It's a whole thing.
But
it's a
you're
lot.
not like getting those types of stories from like the fantasy publishers that come out of the big five.
That's
But
why
they're pushing
for
like
that stuff I lean to
romanticy,
indie. Yeah.
and I really hate the term romanticy. I just there's something about it I don't like.
I just that makes me want to that term makes me want to puke. Like
Yeah, like
I'm just
I
like
really don't like the term romanticy, and I took a whole survey from a publisher the other day, like they I was asking, "Do you like romanticy?" And I'm like, "I wish you guys would stop pushing this ugly, trendy word. Like, I don't understand."
it doesn't work as a word. Like
Yeah,
I'm just like
and
please stop.
I don't understand how it's different from fantasy romance. Or on it, to be honest, they only started calling it fantasy romance recently. Like, I feel like before, like even the ones that had like a heavy romance, they were just calling fantasy.
Yeah.
Or they were calling paranormal romance. Now everything is romantasy.
Yeah, I want paranormal to come back. Can paranormal please come back?
Yes, paranormal needs to come back, but not those paranormal rom-com things that they're putting out. Those are not good. Those books are not good.
I did like one of them.
Yeah, there's very few that are good.
The a witch uh, April Asher, A Witch to Wed.
Mm.
That was actually fun.
But
Like it was fun.
most of them are just like really bland contemporaries where you can like take all the magic out of the story and it
Where the
would really
guy's a
the
werewolf or
same.
something. Yeah.
And like the guy's a merman or he's a witch or like
He's a
something, and then
werewolf.
but it reads exactly the same as a
I know.
regular like small town contemporary romance, and I'm like, this is boring. I need you to up this. I like need you to up the ante just a little bit. Like the
Yeah.
like
I feel
the
like they
woman is a
tone it
witch who
down
never
because
does
it's
anything.
traditionally published.
Yeah, I'm like, but the woman is always a witch who never really does anything. It's like kind of like the book version of the Good Witch.
I actually like that show, but yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm like, there's nothing wrong necessarily with the Good Witch. I know fans, but I'm like, I am not going into these stories for like
Yeah. And that
the
was
magic
based on a
of
book series as
the
well.
magic of love. I'm that's not what I'm going into here
No.
for. I like if she is a witch, have her do cool magical spells.
Yeah.
Because one I really read, and I'm like, I'm not sure if this was magic happening or she just got confident. Like, and I hate that actually.
Yeah. Is there a book next month that you're really excited for that you haven't read yet that you like are really looking forward to reading?
Um, I'm trying to. When the vibe is right by Sarah Das. That is a YA romance that I'm really looking forward to.
Is that the first in a series or is it just a
No, it's
standalone?
like a standalone,
Okay.
but it's her second book, and it's gonna be like a fun summer YA. So like I'm
I
looking
like
forward
that.
to that.
Good traveling book.
Yeah,
Good vacation book.
and like I said, I need to hurry up and read this. I'm not supposed to be in the dark. The goal is to read it this week. I got they sent me a physical copy too. They sent me a finished copy because it comes out on Tuesday. So like
Nice.
I'll be like switching back and forth between formats, and it'll help me read it a little bit easier.
That helps too. Like people think I'm strange because I'll like if it's on Kindle Unlimited, I'll download it if I have a physical copy because it's easier to carry my Kindle than a
Yeah,
hardback.
I will switch back and forth. Like if I'm at
Yeah.
home and I really want to pay attention, I will sit and read the physical book away from the computer. But
Yeah.
then like if it's nighttime and I want to read in bed, I'm gonna get on the Kindle, like have my
Yeah.
little app and read.
And especially with my Kindle, it has that like the nightlight thing so it doesn't bother your eyes as much. Put in the dictionary. Yeah, that word just
Yeah,
doesn't feel like it doesn't sound right when someone says it. Like it's
it
just
does
weird.
not. I
Please
can't
stop
stand
it.
it. And it's like the new buzzy thing. Everybody's writing a dark academia romantasy that with Bridgerton feels. That's like the new trend right now.
Yeah. And have you seen the new trend of like they're trying to make it look like Bridgerton, like they match the covers, sorta?
Yeah.
I'm just like, stop. And I like some of the Bridgerton books, not all of them, but some of
Mm.
them I actually like.
I'm just tired of them trying to make Bridgerton diverse. I'm like, she didn't write it to be diverse. She told us she didn't she didn't see people of color in this series. Why are we trying to recreate Bridgerton? I don't understand.
I don't know. I did like the first season though. I did think that they adapted some of the more questionable things in the first book better on the screen. Not 100% better, but
Mm.
much better than it was written in the book.
And I'm like, what? I'm like, and the thing is, I'm like, what makes any of this Bridgerton besides gowns?
That's what confused me. Even though I want to read the book, what is it, the Davenports?
Yeah.
Because that the premise sounds interesting. Because I know it's based on an actual true
I
like.
DNF'd that one because like I wanted it to be feel more like the 1920s, and it did, and it's clear like it's going to be more romance than
Oh, okay. It's
historical.
not.
And I kind of like to be immersed in the historical setting part, and then
I've been
also
leaning on
the
historical fiction a lot
the
lately.
four POVs. The girls are all going through the same thing of like they don't have the right guy, and they're trying to find like the right suitor, and it's clear that they're gonna switch. Like,
Oh no.
and I'm just like, I don't want to read the same storyline four times from like four similar sounding people because they're sisters, except for the one
Yeah.
girl who's like the maid in the house.
Yeah. I just like the premise of it because it just sounded
Yeah.
interesting.
But like I guess it works for the people who like want that Bridgerton like vibe. Like it's
Yeah.
working for those readers, but like for me, I put that down. It wasn't
That's fair.
interesting for me to keep going. I'm like a lot of people like I am mutuals with, it just wasn't interesting to them, and they ended up putting it down, or like they barely
Yeah.
finished it, or
I did see that a lot, like on Twitter and stuff.
yeah, I don't understand why they did four POVs
That
versus
seems like a lot. And
four
that book
books.
doesn't look that long.
No, and then I have not read a good story recently where like there were four POVs where it was done well. Especially not for like a YA debut. Like I feel like that's a lot of unnecessary POVs,
Yeah.
and there's
Like
just not enough page space to focus on everybody.
I've read the opposite where it started out as one POV and then as the series went on it went into more POVs, but it made more sense as the story went on that it went
Yeah,
into
and I
more
was
POVs.
talking to like an author friend about that last night. I'm like, I don't mind if a book like goes from single POV to multi POV. I mean, it has to make sense,
Yeah.
obviously, but
Right.
sometimes it gives you more like insight to like the characters.
Yeah, exactly. Or like it gives you another way to look at it because you're seeing it from a different character's perspective.
Yeah. But like some of these stories, they'd be trying to tackle like six POVs, and I haven't. It's
No.
just really hard to do well. Period.
Yeah, no.
I can't
No.
do these ensemble casts where it's like six POVs in a fantasy ensemble cast.
That's why I like when it's multiple POVs and it's different narrators if I'm listening to an audiobook because that helps me differentiate between who's who.
Especially like if characters feel similar, like that
Right.
bothers me too.
Right.
I'm like, if you're gonna have so many POVs, everybody needs to be very different.
Yes, exactly. I do have that on my TBR, Daisy Jones, because a friend bought it for me. I haven't read it yet.
I have so many things on my TBR that I just have not gotten.
And it keeps on growing. It keeps on growing as like I'm getting into more like indie published stuff and indie published stuff comes out so much faster. And
Yeah,
I'm just like I can't keep up.
yeah, indie published stuff definitely comes out faster.
Yeah, I'm planning on. I have the audio as well. I'm planning on it maybe in May or June, because depending on how much I'm able to get done with everything that's going on in May. That's why I'm basically doing like an MBR for everything else that might be read for May. And the 4 books I have to read for May are happening, but then the rest of it's just gravy if it happens.
That's good though. At least you've set realistic expectations. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I'm guilty of putting so much pressure on myself, and I'm like, but why? This is supposed to be fun.
yeah, and that's the thing too. You have to make the reading fun for you. When
Yeah.
it's not fun, it's like the worst. Like I don't want to
like
read
the one
obligation.
book we read that was really bad.
Yeah, I could have saved my time reading that book. Like I took a whole holiday weekend to read that book, and
I
then
mean, we had a great conversation because the conversation
yeah,
was great, but the book was bad.
that's why I had to nope out of a buddy read because I'm just a
Which
book
one?
me. Like the one I was reading this weekend that I told you just wasn't good. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was gonna buddy read it with somebody, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I have to get out of this one because I'm not forcing myself to read this one. It's the exact type of story I really don't like,
Yeah,
anyway.
that's why I'm pushing like all my buddy
And I
reads
didn't
and
know
stuff to.
picking it up it was something I wasn't gonna like the type of
Yeah,
story I'm like.
yeah. That's why I'm moving most of my buddy reads to like June, because like May is just gonna be. I'm like, I'm too busy
Well, are
getting
you guys
everything
doing
straight.
that readathon too, or read along, or the
Yeah,
readathon?
we did it in April, which I read
Mm,
a bunch of books for that, and that was a lot of fun. Like I read a bunch of Arthur books, which brought me back to my childhood and
that's
some
good.
goosebumps and stuff. Like I like slotting that stuff in as like if I'm reading something really heavy to like
Yeah.
throw in a middle grade or something
Yeah,
to
I
like
read a lot of
switch up.
chapter books this month and a lot of picture books, just like stuff I was doing for review
Yeah, and that's
and
why I
like
appreciate your
working on
channel, is
like
because
a
I have younger siblings and it helps because it's like
yeah, and a lot of people
so
have been
hard to
telling me
find
that.
stuff.
They're like I have a younger sibling or like I
Yeah.
have like a niece or a nephew or a godchild or something. Like
Like I was
child
telling
like
you, my little brother, my one of my little brothers is in that weird age range of like I'm not sure if his reading level's high, but I don't want to give him something that's too adult, or not adult, but
yeah.
like he's in that weird middle spot.
Yeah, and like with my cousin's daughter, she's about to be 10 and she does not like reading chapter books. She'll like if I bring a picture book for her sister, I'll put it down on the table. She'll sneak and like she'll pick it up and read it. But I
There's
can't
nothing
get
wrong.
her to
I
read.
like reading
Well,
chapter
there's
or
nothing wrong with that, but
canon.
I'm trying to get her to read a little up on her age
Yeah,
level and
he loves to read. It's just
pick the chapter books up.
yeah,
And we're starting with chapter books because they have pictures
yeah,
and less words. So I think what I need to do is actually sit down with her this summer and like a couple of times a month go sit with her and do like have her do like some reading to me out of these chapter books.
yeah.
So like I've been reading different ones from different publishers to
He
like
loves to read. It's
find
just he's
stuff
in
that
that
will be
weird age
interesting.
range. He's in a very like where I'm like, is this too old for him? But
Yeah.
like the chapter books are too young. Like
And the boys is really hard to find stuff for because I feel like they give them so much less book content to like
yes,
adulthood.
yes.
Because even with my chapter book search, I was like, where it's hard enough
They
to
give
find
stuff for girls all day long.
yeah, and it's hard enough to find books like chapter books for boys, period. And then I'm like trying to find books like diverse chapter books with boys, like
I
they're
know.
written by men, and they're basically non-existent.
I
And
know.
because even the men are like for like middle grade and stuff are writing a girl
That's
protagonist.
why I was happy when Shay sent told me about the arcade series.
Yeah,
I think that would be great for him when
yeah,
about next year. I think
yeah,
he'll be right there, like perfect.
yeah. And I'm like, where is this stuff for for boys? It's like really hard to find. And
It's
I'm like, that's why they end up going to like adult fantasy.
and he really is liking I don't know what genre this is, but like kids um like graphic novels
Yeah, like they go
all
to
day,
graphic novels
all
and they
day.
go to and
He
then they
loves
go
it.
to a they go to graphic novels and comic books and like adult fantasy because there's not much out there on the book like
Right.
regular like prose books.
Like right now he's really liking um the Magic School Bus
Mm-hmm.
series. He's been reading those in school, so But it's like finding something else that I know, because there's so many subjects I know he loves that he would love to read it in a book, and it's just
Mhm.
hard to find it.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard. And it's also like you don't want to give them a book that's too high up on their age level because I don't know. It's like a
Yeah.
weird
Well, for
it's
like my
hard.
cousin's daughter, she won't read it if I give her a middle grade right now. I've given her a
Really?
few, she's not read them. So I'm like, we need to go to chapter
Ooh,
books
that's a
and
good
like
idea.
work her way up.
Yeah. Um my little brother fell in love with the Dog Man series.
Mm.
I forget who's that by. He's got so many of them. But I can't he loves it. If he wants to read, go for it. You know, he like
Yeah.
all the kids know they're like, "Yeah, we're getting books from Alicia because we always get books from Alicia."
Yeah, I give books to the kids for
Yeah,
the holidays
always.
and birthdays and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you are getting a book and you can enjoy this book.
Yeah. Yeah. I just
I'm
wish there
not
was
the
more
I'm not the
for
toy
the age
person.
level.
Yeah. It's very
S-
hard, like outside of picture books, to find stuff for the boys.
Surprisingly, there's some stuff on Kindle Unlimited that I found that are like
Mm.
appropriate for their age ranges, which is great cuz
Yeah.
yeah. I don't want to keep you too long. We've been here almost an hour and a half. It doesn't feel like it's been an hour and a half, but we've been here for an hour and a half. Um, but thank you, Evina, for joining me today. And if you're not following Evina, all her information is downstairs. Thank you so much. I'm not sure when my next video is coming up, but I will be on the Who Picked This Book channel on May 9th. We're reading Neanderthal. That's 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST, and that's a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday because we had to switch because of work schedules. Thank
And
you very
I do
much.
videos every Monday, so
Yes, you do. Yay.
I'll have another video coming out tomorrow morning if you guys want to check that out. That's my May TBR.
Yay. Go follow Vina. She's fantastic.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.